Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's Indy NXT Road Series action here on P1. I'm Jacob Collins bringing you the call from the SUZUKA International Racing Course in Japan for our fourth of four international rounds here in the inaugural season of Indy NXT Road Series action. We're just getting into practice here. We're outboard with, I believe this is Takumi Numata of Japan. Good to see talent from near and far here taking to the SUZUKA course here tonight. Going to be a good race here in the 3,200 plus strength of field here. And we're going to have ourselves quite an interesting race here as there is potential for weather. I don't know if this session's going to have it or not. Doesn't look like at the moment the track is wet. But let's see if that comes to develop over the course of the race. Nick Sudik in chat, just missing the registration cutoff. Wishing everybody luck. Good to see you here in the chat, Nick. Hopefully you can make it out to another one of these before the end of the season here. We've got a couple American favorites left to round out the season as we're about to get into qualifying here, and I will get our timing table up on screen so we can keep track of who's setting the fast times here in our 17-car field here at SUZUKA. We'll ride with Takumi in qualifying. He is our number one car here tonight. We will hop on board with his number one machine out onto SUZUKA. He'll head out for his out lap in qualifying here. Or not. He's going to try that again, I guess. We'll see if he moves. We'll give him a second here. Otherwise, you know what? We'll hop with Jeremy M.D. McRory. A regular here in Indy NXT competition so far in this opening season. He's been taking on the road courses and the ovals here on P1. Good to see him out here again, taking on SUZUKA. 3.6 miles is the course distance here tonight. One of the few figure of 8 tracks that takes place in iRacing. The other arguable one would be Twin Ring Motegi, or sorry, Mobility Resort Motegi, with the oval overlapping the road course, though not used conjunctionally at the same time. That hairpin corner, he'll start heading his way towards the spoon curve at the tail end of this. The double, is it double or triple left-hander here in spoon? That's 1. That's 2. And I believe there's one more technically right on the exit there, so we'll call it 3. Head down the back straightaway towards that iconic 130R here at SUZUKA. Down this long back straightaway. Likely going to be a popular portion of the track to use that push to pass on tap here in the IL-15. Head down towards the chicane at the end of the lap here. Iconic for infamous reasons, supposedly. Crash between Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, and I believe 89. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not super sharp on that. And then heading down into turn 1 with the subsequent crash in 1990. I think. Again, someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. So he'll head on to his first flyer here, navigating these very, very tricky S corners up the hill here at SUZUKA. Little bit off the track there. We'll see if that counts his lap or not. That might definitely not. Looks like he's starting to dial it back here a little bit. Might be trying to save his stuff for the second lap here. It is a 3.6 mile lap here after all, so you're going to see guys maybe try to play it a bit more conservative here as we see him have a moment through the hairpin, or the hairpin here. And I believe he's now beached the car. Not looking good for Mr. McRory. We'll see if we can find ourselves another driver out there on the course. We'll hop on board with Takumi once again. He'll try to tackle that same hairpin. Has a bit better luck than McRory did. He'll head out of that hairpin towards spoon once more. 5,293 iRating on the belt of Takumi Numata. See if he ultimately prevails here in the race. Chris Wetz sets the first time of qualifying with a 147.7. Miller's going to beat that with a 147.4, and we're just going to watch that tumble very, very quickly. Jarrett Corey, 146.682. Number 2 machine, currently on the pole. Numata is going to round that chicane here and head down the front straightaway. We'll see if he's got something for Corey here at the point. .146.645, just a hair faster than Corey on lap number 1. We'll see if that time continues to tumble here. We'll stay on board with Numata as he is our current provisional pole sitter. Navigating the S turns up the hill here at Suzuka. We'll actually hop out board to get an idea. Ooh, he's around. Not going to get a second lap for Numata. That'll be qualifying over for him. See, he's now beached in the sand trap. I don't know if he's stuck, or if he's opted to just stop. We will hop to Jarrett Corey now from the outboard shot. That Andretti Colton Herta inspired livery. Who knows if that'll remain the case for Will Power incoming. Round 130R heading towards the chicane. We'll see if he can improve, maybe take that pole as Numata's second lap will not count. See if Corey is able to improve here. Very close on the pointy end of the lap chart here. Zacola will improve. Podium finisher last week at Alton Park, I do believe. He'll drop a 146.2, and that's going to be the fastest lap in qualifying. Corey not able to improve much further on his time. Not enough to take the pole anyway. We'll hop out there with Indy Kirkenbauer as he circulates the track. The Votive Racing League driver making another appearance on the road courses here on the top split in Indy NXT. Good to see him opting for some right turns with his left turns, as I believe he's still the points leader in the Indy NXT Oval Series. Either that or it's Chris Wetz, one of the two. I believe that's the duel that's going to come down to the wire in that series. They'll take to the track in the top split tomorrow night at the Atlanta Superspeedway. Atlanta Motor Speedway. The new version of Atlanta that they turned into a borderline Daytona. Borderline? Something like that. I believe that'll be 8:30 Eastern time tomorrow. Can confirm, 8:30 Eastern time tomorrow. Watch Kirkenbauer around Spoon. Get the driver inputs on the screen so people can see what he's doing from the inside of the car as he'll round out his final of 2 qualifying laps here at Suzuka. Likely going to get his time in just before the clock expires. Kirkenbauer will cross the line. 147.487, I believe, the time for Kirkenbauer on lap number 2. That'll be good enough to put him inside the top 10. And we're about to get to a grid here at Suzuka. 17 drivers are going to take the track. Only one can come out the winner here tonight. And it will be Mikel Zacola, podium finisher out in Alton Park last week, on the pole with a 146.264 over Jarrett Corey in the second spot. He'll line up with a 146.525. Takumi Numata, our number 1 car here tonight, he'll clock in with a 146.645 alongside Vitor Popst in the 4th spot. Zaki Ibrahim Diaz-Liel, that's a number of names, will line up 5th alongside James Burton in the 6th spot. Alexander Miller will line up 7th in his nicely colored IL-15. Jacob Obroslak will line up in 8th, with Indy Kirkwood lining up 9th alongside his Indy NXT Oval Series competitor in Chris Wetz. Jeremy M.D. McGrory will line up 11th alongside Ian Harris in the 12th spot. Kevin Startup will line up 13th in his number 13 machine alongside Brandon Statton in that Chip Ganassi Racing inspired Target livery. David Schmid will line up 15th. Shinobu Kumagi, we're going with that, will line up 16th, the first car not to take a time, and Corey Hopkins will line up 17th of 17 in the number 14 car, also not taking time. Andy Kirkbauer is excited for some Suzuka action, as are we here in the booth. Going to be an interesting one. We'll have to see if any precipitation is in the forecast. I'm going to check real quick just to see if there's anything on the docket here for that. Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're going to stay nice and dry here on the stream here tonight. And we'll get Zakola and crew rolling off the line here at Suzuka, heading through the S's for 12 laps of Indy NXT action here on P1. Suzuka, of course, hosting the Japanese Grand Prix for a number of years, kind of trading blows with, I believe, Fuji Speedway, hosting it for a number of years as well. A number of iconic moments, as I've already alluded to previously on this broadcast. Be fun to see the top level feeder series in American open wheel racing take to such an iconic track here in Japan. As we'll see if Mikel Zakola can put on a lights to flag here, or if there's going to be a big battle here at the front. Only time will tell. Pace car will lead them into that chicane that rounds out the lap here, more or less. And down through that chicane. Very tight through there. They will head off the final corner. Pace car will be in. When will the green fly? Zakola's going to launch now. Green flag is out. We've got one car around. I believe that's Wetz off in the back there. Not sure what happened to him. We'll watch turn number 1 before we try to go back and see that. But we've got Vitor Popst running in 4th now. They're going to go side by side for 2nd between Corey and Numata. They're going to figure that out and move Corey back through to 2nd. Zakola's out to almost a 2nd lead already. We'll take a look back through the field. Ian Harris alongside Kumagi. Kevin Startup back here as well. We'll see what happened to Chris Wetz in that opening corner here. I guess the start-finish line, rather. So here he comes off the final corner. He's that white car on the right side of your screen, the number 6 machine. They're going to take to the start here. He's got the number 13, I believe, of Startup behind, or no, that's the 11 of Ian Harris. Looks like he got psyched out by the launch, and around Wetz will go. We'll see if he's got any major damage following that, but that's going to put him down the order. So Zakola will lead over Jarrett Corey in the 2nd spot. Numata runs 3rd over Vitor Popst in 4th. James Burton will run 5th. We'll hop back to the battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. As McGrory, Kumagai, and Oberslack are all fighting for this position. McGrory has it. Kumagai will want it. And Jacob will be hot in tow here. They'll go side by side through 130R. We'll stay side by side temporarily, but put Kumagi up to 9th. McGrory will stay side by side with Oberslack for the 10th spot. Wetz, or no, that's Who's that going down the pit lane? It's not Wetz. It's going to be Brandon Slatton. Not sure what... Doesn't look like he's got any damage on that machine. He is having to serve a black flag, though. Not sure what for. I'm guessing they passed cars before the start-finish line, potentially. Not quite sure what would have happened there. Maybe in the wrong lane. But that's 3 cars in the pit lane. That'll be Statton, Kumagai, and Harris. All coming down the pit lane. So Corey is slowly starting to reel Zucola back in. We'll see if that's just a corner-to-corner thing or if that's actually a proper gain. They'll all get on the push-to-pass heading towards Spoon. Zucola stays on at the longest, seemingly. About 0.6 of a second back to Corey here. We'll get some gaps on screen so people can see where the battles are picking up. Kirkenbauer is chasing down Alex Miller for the 7th spot. We'll hop to that. So we'll get some IndyCar Series regulars a bit of screen time here. So that's Miller in the multicolored number 4 machine with Kirkenbauer hot behind him. We'll see as they navigate through 130R, head towards that chicane. They're chasing down James Burton and Diaz Liel in 6th and 5th respectively, just ahead. We'll round the final corner, head down the front straightaway. Corey sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:46.148. Quite the solid opening couple laps here at Suzuka. No weather on the cards here, as we mentioned earlier, so it'll be nice and dry. No unexpected spells, seemingly. So what we've got is what we've got here tonight. We're working lap 3 of 12 now. We'll stay here with Miller as he looks to work on James Burton for the 6th spot, working through those S turns. Kirkenbauer remains about 0.3 of a back here, so this is currently the closest couple of battles on the track here. That lead that Zucola has is slowly starting to come down, but not to the point that we're going to jump to it just yet. Working that hairpin, lots of tire lockups. Very easy to do in this car. You'll hear from a number of drivers that they're working on rolling that brake bias much closer to the rear of the car to try to prevent the fronts from locking in this machine. And I'd imagine the very, very heavy braking zones that this track has to offer, like that hairpin, alongside the chicane at the end of this long, sweeping, high-speed section through the back straightaway through 130R, is going to be another place where you'll potentially see some tire smoke come out of these cars on the front. And we've seen it play a good factor in the Oval Series, but do not discount it on the road courses here in Indy NXT. Tires do play a good bit of factor. We have seen a number of drivers struggle deep into these races on the tires just because of how easy it is to use them up in these opening portions of the race. As we see Zucola and Corey basically set lap times within 1/10 of each other. Zucola with a 1:46.093 and Corey with a 1:46.041. That battle is going to be close, and it's basically going to come down to, can Corey reel in Zucola for that top spot? Working lap number 4. We'll jump to Corey now, as we saw Numata there temporarily running in the 3rd spot. He's fallen away about 1.5 seconds behind Corey. It's a 2-horse race here at the front. Corey looking to mount a charge here in the point standings here late in the going. We'll see if he's able to put up another solid run here at Suzuka. A race what we thought was going to be impeded by weather and might make that much more difficult seems to have fallen his way with a nice dry race here in the top split tonight. We see Zucola just ahead there. Starting to stretch his legs just a little bit. I think it's going to come down to who's going to be more consistent here, and that's kind of the name of the game in next, especially when it comes down to the last couple cars in a given pack. Consistency is going to be huge as the draft and push to pass can put a lot of cars in it come the end of the race. Lots to manage here. Just like there will be good things for drivers to manage tomorrow night. Gary Gotso will be on the call for the Formula Indy Series from Circuit Zolder in Belgium. That'll take place at a time I need to remember. Believe that'll be... No, that's Wednesday night. Goodness me. Okay, well, tomorrow night, the IndyCar Oval Series will be at Pocono. Gary Gotso on the call with Luis Gonzalez Nunez at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be on the call for the Indy NXT Oval Series from Atlanta at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Wednesday night, we will have the championship finale for the Horizon IndyCar Series. I guess Mark forgot that one was happening. That'll be round 13 of their season from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Circuit Zolder for the Formula Indy Series will take place at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Gary Gotso and crew on the call there. And then Thursday night, we will have split 2 of the Indy NXT Thrustmaster Pro Series qualifier, second split from Gateway, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The second of 3 oval rounds for that series. And then we'll be back next week with the present, future, and past, or something like that, at the usual times. We'll be taking on Bathurst in the Open Series for IndyCar. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, followed up by the Indy NXT Series at 9 p.m. Eastern Time from Lime Rock Park. And round out that coverage will be the Onyx Lotus 79 Series taking on the Auto Club Speedway, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Same bat time, same bat channel. This has remained a solid battle here at the front, as we see actually now Miller and Kirkenbauer going back and forth for the 7th and 8th spot. They're side by side heading off into the final corner here. We'll see who comes out on top heading into turn number 1. Miller will come out ahead. We'll see if Kirkenbauer has anything to say about that through the S's here. He's thinking about it. Nice close battle here between some IndyCar Series regulars that we see throughout our various coverage on P1. Speaking of which, Alex Miller is the champion of the Horizon IndyCar Series this season. Want to give him his congratulations for scoring the championship there in Horizon with a round to spare, no less. Good on him. Longtime supporter of the road to Indy for Miller. Good to see him having a solid run here at SUZUKA tonight. We are working lap number 6 of 12 here from SUZUKA. We'll be reaching just over the halfway mark as these drivers get to the line, as we watch Miller and Kirkenbauer round Spoon Curve. They'll head down the back straightaway towards 130R. Nice and steady here for these two drivers, looking to just log the laps, get as much experience as they can out here. Very tricky combo between these two put together. Kirkenbauer starts to fade away from Miller. Miller will start to pull a gap here. We'll see if he can continue to do so. So Zicola has started to stretch the lead back out over Corey, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3/4 to a second in terms of the gap between those two cars. Umada, about 3 seconds off of Corey, has Popst running about a second behind him. Liel will be another second off Popst. You've got Burton running about a half second off Liel in the 6th spot, and then we're watching 7th and 8th between Alex Miller and Indy Kirkenbauer here. We'll jump back to Jeremy M.D. McGrory, who runs 9th in his number 10 machine. You see Kevin Startup off in the back here. He'll run 10th. David Schmid in that bright green machine will run 11th. Chris Wetz, after being tail end of the field, will be working his way in 12th. Opus Slack running 13th. Corey Hopkins will be 14th. Kumagai will be 15th after having to stop down the pit lane to survey black flag alongside Brandon Staton in 16th. Ian Harris is out of the race, multiple laps down. Likely opted to give up the ghost after serving a penalty. So we'll hop back to ZUZUKA at the front here. Gap about a half second between himself and Corey. Likely depends on where you are on the speedway or the race course here in Japan. Get the cameras caught up here, and we will get 2 laps to go. 5 to go. Jarrett Corey sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:45.889. He's reeled ZUZUKA back in. We'll see if that's a usage of resources by checking how much push to pass these guys have left on board these IL-15s. So Jarrett Corey has an advantage on the push to pass. 73 seconds, just a little over half of his is used up. We'll have ZUZUKA on 58. Numata running in thirds on 50. Popston fourth is on 60. Liel down to 23 already. Could be trouble for him come the end of this race. You've got Burton on 59. Miller's on 50. Kirkerbauer on 55. McGrory 51. And Startup on 27. Running in 10th. A lot of drivers outside the top 10 are lower on that P2P. Or, sorry, have more of that P2P available. Wet sitting on 136. So we'll just have to see as this race transpires how that push to pass plays out. Head back to the gaps here. Gap has closed up for Corey on ZUZUKA. These two drivers have been making regular appearances here on our coverage of the Indy NXT Road Series here on iRacing. Good to see the cream rise to the top week in and week out here as these drivers learn to navigate the IL-15 here on the road courses. Corey looks to the outside here. He's going to hit that curb on the first part of the chicane, hit it on the second part of the chicane, might have the better exit here. He's going to look to the inside. We'll see how that run transpires down the front stretch as both drivers are on the push to pass. We're going to see ZUZUKA bust out the defensive line, heading down to turn number 1. Corey's going to look to the outside. We'll see if a crossover happens. Corey's going to run a little wide there. He's going to build the momentum off the corner. He's going to stay even keel with ZUZUKA here, heading through the S's. 4 laps to go here from SUZUKA. I think patience is going to be the name of the game at this point, as it's looking tight here at the front. Can Corey stay close enough and make that move when it counts? These drivers now multiple seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Numata likely having a moment at some point. It's now 5.5 seconds back of Corey. Possible some of that is just the lack of having draft, but I don't think that's all of it. They'll head down towards Spoon once more. ZUZUKA stretching his legs just a little bit here. Good usage of that outside curb from both drivers through Spoon. Watch as they navigate the back straightaway here. We'll ride on board with Corey for this next lap, so we'll hop back to his car now. Hop on board with the driver, the number 2, show you what he sees around this 3.6 mile course. Through that chicane. Get off there, heading down the front stretch. Corey will be in the tow of ZUZUKA ahead. Hear a good bit of those tires sliding around through that very, very long opening corner here. Might hear a little bit of it through these later S's up the hill here. They'll work the double right here in the middle portion of the lap. Corey closes in a little bit through this section. This seems to be a strong spot for him over the course of the lap. They'll head into the hairpin here. Lock up from ZUZUKA ahead. Corey seemed to have gotten a better run through there. We'll see if that pays off in the push to pass off the corner. Gap about 3.5 tenths, little under now. He's going to close on in. ZUZUKA using all the curb available to him. They're going to navigate off Spoon down the back straightaway. Gap's just over 3 tenths now. The draft will play in Corey's favor here. That gap's going to start to close as they head towards 130R. Bit of a bobble there from Corey. Using a bit too much of the grass or the curbing there. They're going to head off that chicane once more. We'll be coming to 2 to go this time, I do believe. Two to go here from SUZUKA. Can Jarrett Corey reel back in ZUZUKA and make a pass for the lead here? That is the question. We'll hop back outboard to get a better shot of whatever's going on the course here. Run through the field real quick before we get to that final lap. So it's ZUZUKA leading Corey. Numata runs in third over Pops, who's a half second off of him. That's, I believe, the closest battle on track as it stands, depending on where you are on the course. Alexander Miller's moved up to 5th. Kirkwood runs 6th. James Burton runs in 7th. Liel is in 8th. Jeremy MD McGrory runs 9th. Kevin Startup's 10th. Chris Wetz in 11th. David Schmid runs 12th. Opus Slack in 13th. Corey Hopkins runs 14th. Kumagai runs 15th. And Staten runs in 16th. The last of the cars moving out on the course here tonight. We will see if Jarrett's got anything for ZUZUKA here in the closing stages. They're going to round Spoon for the penultimate time. Any of these drivers holding station. Would like to update everybody on the push to pass figures of these drivers at the front. ZUZUKA is on 11 seconds. Corey is on 21. That may be the ultimate change here at the front, is that push to pass figure being able to stay on that button. 50 extra horsepower is nothing to sneeze at when you've only got 450 on tap. They'll take the white flag. Jarrett set the fastest lap last time by. Now may be the time to strike for him. 10-second advantage on the push to pass. 1 lap to go here at SUZUKA. He's closed back within 0.4 of a second on ZUZUKA. Can he mount the pressure? This middle section here has been one of his strongest portions on the track. The double right-hander here. He's going to close in just a little bit. Get a bit of a wiggle off the corner there, though. That might be all it takes for ZUZUKA to squeak away here. Bit of a lock up there from Corey through the hairpin. They'll head down towards Spoon for the last time. Jarrett well on the button down through Spoon. They're going to head off the Spoon down the back straightaway. Now only 3 seconds of extra push to pass for Corey. He's going to try to use it all now. It's do or die heading into 130R. He's going to look to the inside. They're side by side through 130R. Corey with the nose. ZUZUKA's going to have the first apex here. Corey's going to look for the over-under. They're going to make contact. Ultimately, ZUZUKA will get out ahead. Boy, howdy did Corey try, but it was not going to be enough to pass ZUZUKA. Mikel ZUZUKA will win here at SUZUKA. What a finish. Get down to James Burton, who will finish in 7th, ahead of Liel. You see off in the distance there in his Toro Rosso-inspired livery. Jeremy MD McGrory will finish 9th in his appearance here on the top split. Kevin Startup 10th, Wetz in 11th, and so on. And we'll get through the finishing order as SUZUKA rounds the circuit on the cooldown lap. Your winner here tonight. So it will be Mikel Zuccolo, your winner here tonight over Jarrett Corey. The gap 4/10 of a second, a little over, between those two drivers at the front. We had ourselves quite a solid battle there come the end of this race. Takumi Numata will finish in third, the number one machine here tonight, over Vitor Popst in fourth. Alexander Miller will finish in fifth, rounding out our top five. Indy Kirkwood, the prodigy, will finish sixth, ahead of James Burton in seventh. Zaki Ibrahim Diezliel will finish eighth in his number 8 machine over Jeremy M.D. McRory. Kevin Startup will round out the top 10. Chris Wetz will finish 11th. David Schmid will finish 12th. Jacob Oberslack will be 13th. Corey Hopkins in 14th. Sonobu Kumagai will be 15th. Brandon Staton in 16th. And our only non-finisher tonight will be Ian Harris, 17th on the field tonight. And I'm sure we'll have a couple drivers on up for interviews. Not sure if we'll get Takumi on in here, but we'll get him some screen time here to show that he put up a solid effort here tonight. See if we can find ourselves some race cars for that. Get him up on the screen. Takumi Numata, your third place finisher here tonight. Wait and see if we get Jarrett Corey on in here as I see Mikel Zuccolo down there. But Takumi, your third place finisher here tonight in that IL-15 you see on your screen here now. Give people a couple minutes to head on up to the interview room. Solid showing here from Mr. Numata. Had ourselves quite a race here in the 8th of 12 rounds here in this Indy NXT Road Series. Work our way down the podium as opposed to up, as I'm not quite sure if Jarrett's going to roll on in here or not, but we'll make sure Mikel here is not waiting. Actually, Jarrett just rolled on in here. We'll get him on up here first. Goodness me, I got to stop being impatient. We'll yank him on up here momentarily. Jarrett, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting, you got me?
Yep.
Well, you put up quite the fight there in the closing stages here to try to make the pass on Zuccolo to round this race out. What do you think it was going to take for you to to pip out just enough to make the pass there?
I was hoping I could maybe save my push to pass a little bit better, and then try to maybe see if I could like catch him off guard by maybe trying to use up a lot earlier than he might expect. So that's why I tried to really go in the middle of the race and use a bunch of push to pass and just try to get a shot at passing him, and then that didn't work. So I just sort of sat back and saved a bit more to try to have one more go at the end, and I almost got it, but wasn't quite enough. But yeah, still a great race.
Yeah, we saw that you had a push to pass advantage going into that final lap, but it didn't look like there was quite enough time for you to get far enough out ahead through 130R there to make the move. Was there any potential options for you maybe early or later on in the lap? Did you thought maybe it would come down to something before that chicane, or did you feel like maybe a run down the front straightaway was a potential option there?
I figured it might come down to a drag race to the line, especially after he locked up into the chicane. So I tried to see if I could hold it on the outside, but he just sort of fired it in there, which fair play, maybe a little bit of contact, but it was all good. I would have been hard to hold it tight anyways from where he was, but I was just going to try to see if I could squeeze him on exit and make a run to the line. Apart from that, I thought about maybe trying to go for it and spoon, but I really just wasn't able to get close enough in order to really do that. So I had to sort of build up a run for spoon using a bit of push to pass and then use up a lot on the run to 130R. It's kind of hard to make it stick through 130R because you both got a lift, and then it just comes down to the chicane, and he was able to outdo me there.
Yeah, kind of the name of the game here at Suzuka is getting that pass set up into the heavy braking zones. You know, you get a good opportunity to get alongside in those high speed corners throughout the closing stages of the lap, but it's ultimately those braking zones where you can really make your mark. But unfortunately, followed up just a little bit short here tonight. But P2 finish, nothing to sneeze at in the not wet Suzuka that we might have thought it was going to be here tonight. So if you've got anybody you want to shout out, Jarrett, floor, it's yours.
Just P1 Broadcasting and also the weather gods for making this one not wet. It was not the wet race before this one was not as fun as this. So yeah, definitely thankful this one was dry. Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you, Jarrett, for coming on out here and supporting the series, getting up here on the podium. We hope to catch you through the rest of this season on your bid for the championship, if you will.
See ya.
And that will be Jarrett Corey finishing second here tonight. We'll bring Mikkel on up. Mikkel Zaccolo, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcast. You got me?
Yeah, got you.
Well, you started on the pole here, kind of picking up where you left off last week on the podium at Oulton Park. Kind of walk us through your race here in all or less dominant fashion until the closing stages there, having to battle Jarrett Corey at the end.
Yeah, that was yeah. Jared put me a big pressure during all the race, so yeah, was a good fight with him. I know he was a good pace more than me. His pace was better in the end of the race, but yeah, I managed to the push to pass in the straight line to not giving him a chance before the last lap, and I saw in the last lap he was giving everything to try to pass me, and as you saw in the last chicane, I locked up and I tried to not cutting the chicane, come back on the line, and we got touched. I'm sorry for that. Pace was all good, so yeah, would be better if we finished like a drag race, but yeah, honestly P1 is good, but he deserves a P1 also.
Yeah, we saw a number of drivers kind of struggle in those heavy braking zones, locking the tires up a good bit. Do you feel like over the course of this race, you saw tire wear play quite a big factor, maybe a bit more so than we have at some of the tracks we've been to this season?
No, honestly, it was not really worse than Indianapolis or Alton Park. Only the hairpin and the last chicane was a little bit struggle with the braking zone with the tires. But honestly, no, the tire wear was not really worse. It was maybe quite better than the last two races.
Well, you were able to hold on to it, even despite the difficulties through those very tricky corners here at Suzuka. If you've got anybody you want to thank here on the podium, microphone's all yours, Mikkel.
Yeah, so I would say thank you to Jared. It was really a good race with him. Good fight for a clean race. Sorry again for this contact with him. And thank you for the broadcast. It's always great to watch the race again. And thank you, Jacob, for the interview.
Well, thank you for turning on out here once again, Mikkel. We'd love to keep having you here on the broadcast here, and keep going fast, having fun. We hope to catch you out here on another one.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And that will be Mikkel Zucola, your winner here tonight at Suzuka. We will be back next week from Lime Rock Park in the Indy NXT Road Series for week number 10 of 12. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the broadcast here from Suzuka. And to all those that do the difficult jobs all around the world, we thank you so very much for letting us do all the fun stuff we do here in the world. And I want to thank everybody for making Indy NXT here on iRacing part of your weekly itinerary. Have a good night, everyone.